This is a review of the Audio-Technica Lp5X turntable. It's a sort of companion piece, in a weird way, to an earlier review I did of another Audio-Technica turntable, the 140 XP. The two share similar parts. In fact, if you put both together, you can see certain DNA running through the pair of them. And yet they're aimed at completely different customers. The 140 XP is aimed at the DJ professional, whereas the Lp5X is aimed squarely at the lifestyle vinyl user. And I say lifestyle advisedly, but I'll get to that in a second. The Lp5X looks like a stripped down 140. You lose all that DJ furniture which sits on the top of the 140's plinth. So you lose that strobe around the platter, you lose all the the pop-up light that the DJ has, you lose the pitch control just under the tone arm, the power switch is completely different. The Lp5X looks rather minimalist in comparison to the 140. So on the near left position of the plinth, there is one knob, basically that's your power switch, it's your speed selector, and 78 RPM is catered for, incidentally. But there's none of the DJ shenanigans that you would expect from the 140 XP here, at any rate. On the right hand side of the plinth, you'll see that familiar J-shaped arm which you see on the 140 XP. So the arm is the same, the arm tube is the same, the SME connector connecting the removable head shell, that's the same, the anti-skate wheel, the same, the arm lift, it's all the same, right down to the little latch that keeps the arm tube secure. If you compare and contrast the Lp5X with the 140, you'll notice that the plinth is basically the same in general dimensions at any rate. The depth of the Lp5X is a little bit deeper by about 1.5 centimeters. However, if you actually pick up the Lp5X, you'll notice that it is a lot lighter than the 140 XP. But this is basically because the 140 XP features its power supply inside the plinth. The Lp5X features a wall wart, so it takes the power supply from the plinth outside of the turntable itself. So you have that weedy plug-in power cable that I'm sure you're familiar with wall wart power supplies that plugs into the back of the Lp5X. The 140 has a larger power supply and a full IEC heavyweight cable that comes out and emerges from the rear of that, so it feels more robust and heavy. And while we are around the back and fitting in that wall wart on the rear of the Lp5X, you'll also notice that there's a built-in USB port, so you can rip, as it were, your vinyl to a digital file. There's also a built-in phono amp on the rear of the Lp5X. You can turn that on and off, so you can use an external phono amp if you wish. Both of these features, the USB port and the built-in phono amp, you will not find on the 140 XP. That's a completely different proposition. Again, this reinforces the whole lifestyle nature of the Lp5X, and again it separates the customer base. Both of these turntables are targeted at completely different people. If we come back to the front of the Lp5X's plinth and look at the tone arm, you'll notice that there's a HS6 head shell at the front of the tone arm, and hanging off the end of that is a VM95E cartridge. The VM95 cartridge is an upgrade to the well-known, widely used AT95E. Both use an elliptical cartridge tip, but the VM95E, I would say, is superior sounding to the AT95E. The newer VM model, the VM95E, just sounds a lot more sophisticated, a lot more interesting, a lot more mature than the AT95E. And if you are looking to upgrade from a conical stylus tipped cartridge, I would go for the VM95E. I would bypass the AT95E, go for the VM. Okay, the VM's the one to go for. It just sounds a lot better. It's actually great value too, because once you've installed a VM95E onto your turntable, whether it's the Lp5X or any other turntable, that is, once you've got it on your tone arm, to upgrade or to change the nature of the cartridge, you just replace the stylus. So for example, I mentioned the Lp5X can run 78s. Ordinarily, you'd have to replace an entire cartridge and put a 78 RPM design cartridge on the end of your tone arm. Not with the VM95E. All you have to do is take off the incumbent stylus and replace it with a stylus that can play 78s. Easy peasy. And it's a lot less money. So the VM95E is far better value on those terms. So you get both. You get value for money and better sound. So big thumbs up for that one. For sound tests, initially I grabbed an Ella Fitzgerald jazz-based LP, and I also grabbed the Jethro Tull prog rock album just as a rocking contrast to Ella. And my first sound test comparison was with Audio-Technica's own 140. It seemed a natural comparison to make because they share so many parts and they have that sort of similar DNA running through the two of them. So I did a head-to-head with both of those. Before I played any music through both turntables, I decided to configure both turntables. So before the test actually occurred, I decided to use the VM95E on both turntables. Reason being that the 140 XP comes with a more DJ friendly cartridge rather than one that's more audiophile in nature, shall we say. So I thought the VM95E would show off the 140's sound qualities in a better light. Don't forget though, you're adding a few more pounds on top of the 140. So the 140 itself is a bit more expensive than normal because in effect you're upgrading the cartridge, and the VM95E is about £40 if you buy that from places like Amazon. So you're really looking at the 140 XP priced at around 420. So it's that bit more expensive than the Lp5X, which retails at around £350. In addition to maintaining the cartridge between the two turntables, I also use an external phono amplifier. So I wasn't reviewing the phono amp, I was actually reviewing the turntable. And again, the 140 XP doesn't include an internal phono amp, so I wanted a level playing field for both when I review both in terms of sound quality. Just briefly, the internal phono amp on the Lp5X is fine. If you are short of cash and you want to get yourself a turntable and amp and speakers, the internal model of the Lp5X is okay. It's not too bad. You can do a lot better though, and I would encourage you to grab yourself an external phono amp model ASAP. You can pick up a Project moving magnet phono amps from Amazon for somewhere around £50-ish. It depends who you buy from, depends on the deal, but that would be far superior in terms of sound quality. So I urge you to grab one of those if you're going to get yourself an Lp5X. Playing the prog rock Jethro Tull album, I noticed that the 140 really majored on bass. It was heavy, it was massive, it was full of weight and impact. It was extraordinarily solid. They're both direct drive mechanisms, incidentally. Part of the reason for the great bass on the 140 is to do with the heavy, dense plinth of the 140 itself. The platter is heavily damped, and you've got that big power supply too. So the Lp5X is not exactly bass light, it's just that the 140 has that extra bass emphasis. Like I say, the Lp5X does offer great bass, and I noticed that percussion and bass guitar were sort of embossed on the back of the soundstage, and they really sort of came forward, but they didn't swamp, they never sort of bloomed at you, they never sort of fuzzy and unfocused. There was a certain precision there, which was nice. What the Lp5X did offer, and this is where it really scored over the 140, was in terms of detail and in terms of focus on the mid-range. Both mid-range and treble, incidentally, were far more interesting and intriguing in terms of the amount of detail coming at me. Cymbal hits in the treble area, the reverb coming off cymbal hits were far more fragile and delicate on the Lp5X than the 140. Also on the Ella Fitzgerald track, there was a very shy guitar which was sort of sitting at the back of the soundstage. The Lp5X managed to locate that and just bring it a little bit forward just so the ear could pick it up. On the right channel there was a piano which sort of had a sort of rhythm guitar role in this particular track that I was listening to. That was far more interesting and nuanced and subtle. You could hear a little bit more resonance in the body of the piano. These are all little subtle details which the 140 struggled really to cope with. The Lp5X found it a lot easier to to broadcast and actually to deliver that information to your ears. And there's something else to add to this, and it's a lower noise. Now, the mere fact that the LP5X has a USB port stuck in the rear alongside an internal phono amp, that will add noise. So it's going to be difficult for the LP5X to compete with audiophile class turntables. I'm talking about turntables in the likes of Riga and Project. I wouldn't expect the LP5X to compete well with either of those. In fact, the LP5X didn't. The LP5X is definitely a lifestyle turntable. It's not an audiophile turntable per se. However, in its lifestyle class, in that genre, it performed excellently. And against the 140, although it had the USB port and the phono amp, which did produce a certain amount of noise, the mere fact that the LP5X did not have all this DJ furniture all over the top of the plinth, that lowered enough noise to differentiate itself from the 140. So because of this DJ furniture, which produces high frequency noise, I want to say noise, I don't mean it's like buzzing from the electrics. I don't mean that kind of noise. I'm talking about high frequency stuff, which veils detail, removes the subtleties from the mid-range, that sort of noise. Stuff you can't really hear until it's gone, that sort of noise. So the LP5X, because it didn't have all this DJ furniture, which also creates a bit of vibration, don't forget, with all that gone, the noise floor on the LP5X lowered to a certain extent. The 140 masked certain detail. The LP5X, because of that lower noise floor, it's allowed more detail to come through, which is a great thing. And intriguingly, as I was listening to the 140 LP5X shoot-off, the LP5X did remind me of another turntable, and I was sitting thinking, what was it? And I thought, it's a Fluence. It's the RT83. It has that sort of feel. So I ran to grab my Fluence RT83. And I did an A-B comparison between the two of those. Now the RT83, again, is a lifestyle turntable, so it's in the same class as the LP5X. The Fluence does have a superior cartridge on the end of its tone arm. In this case, the Audiophile 2M Red. So I was wondering how the better cartridge and the slightly different approach to the lifestyle design that the Fluence has, I was wondering how that would cope with the Audio-Technica LP5X. So who won the shootout between the LP5X and the RT83? Well, there were pros and cons for both sides, to be absolutely honest with you. The RT83 did produce greater focus and precision in the upper mid-range area. I would say that also produced better transients. And when I say better transients, I'm talking about starting and stopping of notes. When a note starts and stops, if it's doing well in the transients area, you get that start stop. There's no sort of skidding effect. There's no sliding. There's no blaring of a note. If somebody hits a drum, it's bam. There's no sort of blaring effect when that note is hit, or when somebody plucks a string. You hear the difference. There's if transient performance is poor, it will sort of blur out. It will skid a little bit. So the RT83 was a bit more superior to the LP5X in that area. And again, the LP5X did have positive aspects of its own, and I would say actually delivered more information on a broad level in terms of the mid-range. There's far more information coming at me, superior in that way to the RT83. So for example, on the Ella Fitzgerald track, there was an acoustic guitar. There was a lot more character in this guitar. Tonal realism was a little bit better, I would say, on the LP5X. Piano also, I would say, enhanced the clarity over the RT83. I would also say that the LP5X offered better bass performance, far more complex. I would say the refinement, not just the sheer power, but the refinement in the bass regions was better with the LP5X. There was far more confidence there. It felt more sort of able. You felt as though you could trust the LP5X in terms of what it could do in the bass regions. And because of that, despite the fact that the RT83 was better at specific points in the sort of sound envelope, on the broad level, I felt that the LP5X was the better performer of the two. Better balanced, generally better clarity, generally better detail. Like I say, there were spots where the RT83 won out, but overall I would say that the LP5X was the better of the two. So in conclusion, just to repeat, the LP5X is not an audiophile turntable. It's not designed to compete with the Rigas and the projects of this world. It's in a different class, it's in a different sector. It's designed to appeal to the lifestyle user, somebody who wants that internal phono amp, somebody who wants a low price direct drive, somebody who needs a USB port at the back for ripping. But there's plenty of ways you can enhance the sound of the LP5X, and I'll put a couple of links below, one of which is the Origin Live cartridge enabler, which will enhance sound quality. I've also got another feature on my website which will talk in general terms about lots of different accessories you can add to any budget turntable to enhance sound, whether it's the cartridge of course, but you can also add different platter mats, isolation feet, and so on. So what I'll do, I'll put both of those links below. Hopefully you can find some information within there that might help you if you buy yourself an LP5X and you think to yourself, oh, I wouldn't mind upgrading one or two little bits. The LP5X can cope. It has unused capacity, as I say, and I'm sure the sound quality will improve if you tweak it over time when funds allow. In short, I was very happy with the LP5X. I think as a lifestyle turntable, it's one of the best on the market, certainly in its price point, and I'm very happy with it. I give it a big thumbs up. So if you're looking for a lifestyle turntable, definitely put this one on your list. If you've got yourself an LP5X, I'd love to know your opinions on the turntable. What else are you connecting it with? Are you planning to buy an LP5X, or are you thinking about other turntables in competition to it? Maybe you're thinking about the Fluence or even the Audio-Technica 140. Let me know, comment below. If you do, keep it clean, no swearing please, keep it polite. This is a family channel, and I'll see you in the next video. So until then,